The government destroyed the economy to save us from COVID. One guy stood against him, Tucker Carlson, and it probably got him fired when he said lockdowns don't work. Here's number 4. When masking came out, Tucker in the beginning, before there was any evidence about masks working or not working, it sounded like a good idea. So he didn't oppose it. However, by the summer of 2020, I'm talking about 3 years ago, he said, which by the way is 100% true, there is no basis of any kind in studies in science that say masks work. Let me explain why. A virus, if you look at it under a microscope, is something like 1/1000th the size of the threads in a mask. In other words, hundreds of thousands of viruses can pass through the thread holes in a mask.
So basically what you're saying, Elizabeth Warren has more chance of being in the Indian than the virus getting through.
Well said. Well said. Please do not insult her heritage. She took a 23andMe, right? And what did she have? Less American native in her than somebody from Europe?
Yeah.
Right. But the point is, on masks, he was 100% right. When you look at it scientifically, Will Johnson, the only thing a mask does, if I sneeze, it keeps my sneeze mostly from getting on you. But if I've got COVID, it's going right through the hole in the mask that is like this far apart, right, under a microscope. And the virus is the size of a pin. They don't work. They've never worked, right?
And even when Dr. Evil was saying that they don't work.
I know you're talking about Fauci, and you're right. And all of a sudden, everybody has to have a mask. I was in a supermarket yesterday. 4 people got out of the car. I watched them in the parking lot.
Windows up.
They wore their masks in the car, okay, and then walked into a Safeway. All 4 of them with masks on.
Even now, you know what? I see that here. I see that quite often. And you know what's really interesting to me is that it's primarily, it is not primarily, it's all liberals of all colors. It's liberals that walk, they're still wearing a mask. So here lately, Barry, I've been going to the gym, and I'm trying, going to the gym because I'm getting a little bit older. I need to lose the pounds, lose the weight. I keep finding it, but I keep losing it. Then I find it again. But anyways, I go to the gym and I see people in the gym wearing the mask, Barry.
Cutting down on their own oxygen.
Yeah, I'm like, what in the world? And see, you know what? That's part of the reason why liberals think the way they think, because they cut off the oxygen to the brain.
Well, yeah, you can't. The brain consumes more oxygen, I guess, per spot in your body than any other part of your body, right? And if you cut down the oxygen, your thought processes literally are inhibited by a lack of oxygenation in the brain.
Well, so, that would explain why they don't know what a woman is.
That may be a problem. All right, here's the last one. When lockdowns came out as part of the plan to save all of society, all the way back in November 2020, Carlson said, the evidence is in, lockdowns don't work, they don't make us safe, they don't stop the virus, they do enormous harm, though, especially to the poor and middle class. And then he went through all of these studies that said, don't lock people down. John Hopkins, he quoted the study, reduces mortality by 0.2% of the infections. I mean, the number is like minuscule, microscopic. But they locked everybody down. Can't go to church, but you can go to a liquor store. Can't go to a hardware store, but you can go to Home Depot. Can't go to a 7-Eleven, but you can go to Safeway, right?
You
And
can't
on
go
and
to the
on.
movie theater, but you can go to a strip bar.
Well, you're being silly, but it's truthful.
It was
What
true.
you're saying is that's what they said.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So somehow the virus could not get into an Ace Hardware store, right? But in Home Depot, where everybody's touching the same stuff, right? And here, I'm checking out. Charge me for my sprinkler or whatever, right? And then you get charged for the sprinkler. But if it was on a Home Depot checkout line, it got disinfected magically. But at Ace Hardware, you could not.
Or when you went to a restaurant, if you're standing up, it affected you. But as soon as you sat down, it was a different story.
Oh, yeah. I remember there's a restaurant near here that I went to. And the second you stood up, you had to put a mask on to walk 10 steps to the restroom. And then you came back, you still had to have it on. And then you sat down and everyone takes it off. And that's fine. You could sit at the bar in the restaurant with no mask.
Mm-hmm.
But at the table, you had to eat like this. I wish I had a mask here. You had a mask? Insane.
You know what?
Completely insane.
I think it was just a social program to see how many people they could get to fall in line to continue down the path of being controlled on a scale that we've never seen on this planet. I truly believe, Barry, that we're going to see some major events unfold within the next few months. I would like to say next few years, but I say the next few months, we're going to see some major events take place. And the only reason being because this insanity, Barry, it has to give at some point. It has to let up. There's only so much air you can put in a balloon. There's only so much before it pops.
Here's an interesting thought, and then we'll move on. A number of people have said that this was a test to see how controlled the population will allow itself to be, right?
Yep.
All the stuff that George Orwell talked about in his completely stupid books that have all come true, right? Everyone thought, oh, that's just fiction. It's an interesting story.
It's way out there.
Said, right? Yep. War is peace. Peace is war. You can get people to do practically anything. This might have been one humongous social experiment to see how much control you and me and our audience out there will put up with. And you know what? I'm afraid because on no scientific evidence, we shut down the world. When I say we, I should say they.
Yeah.
Right? No schools, no churches, strip clubs, okay. No little hardware store, big hardware store, okay. No little grocery store, big grocery store, okay. What? Nobody knows how many trillions of dollars were destroyed, how much life savings was wiped out, how many businesses will never come back, how many people couldn't travel, right?
And it's getting worse. It's getting worse. Just today, they said that the feds, they're raising the interest rates.
Again.
And of course, I'm willing to bet right now, if you go out online, they're probably, changing the definition of recession again. Oh, it's not now.
Well, remember, they changed the definition of vaccine in the middle of this. It used to be something that you take into your body orally or through an injection that prevents an infection from affecting you. It's not that anymore. You know why? Because it didn't work. So they can't call it a vaccine. Then they started calling it a therapy. And the therapy is the new definition of vaccine. All right. I think everybody gets the point. We have a pretty good idea why Tucker got canned.